Do you think you know everything about Muslim women? Get ready to be amazed. Behind the veils and traditions lie stories that movies never show. Lives filled with breathtaking courage, challenges, and triumphs. Imagine secrets so fascinating and sometimes shocking that they might change everything you think you know about the Middle East. But why do these stories remain hidden? Perhaps because it's easier to judge the unknown than to try to understand it. If you think this is just another superficial look, you're mistaken. We're about to uncover astonishing truths that will touch your soul and forever change your perception. Warning: after diving into this fascinating universe, you'll never see them the same way again. The lives of Muslim women in the Middle East are a mosaic of experiences that transcend the widely held stereotypes. Often these women are viewed through a single lens that doesn't reflect the diversity of their stories. While some face challenges due to social or cultural norms, others are leaders in their communities, renowned scientists, and visionary entrepreneurs. Take, for example, Dr. Hayat Sindhi, a Saudi biochemist who revolutionized the medical field with her innovations. Each journey reveals a reality as diverse as it is captivating. The cultural richness of the Middle East also manifests in the traditions and practices that shape the lives of these women. From music to poetry, there is a deeply intertwined cultural heritage with their identities. Muslim women play a vital role in preserving these traditions, passing them down from generation to generation. Have you ever thought about how these practices shape a person's identity, creating an unbreakable connection to their roots? It's a whole universe hidden behind the prejudices many still hold. Of course, the challenges cannot be ignored. In some regions, social norms restrict women's access to certain rights, such as the freedom to study or work. However, there is a growing movement of women breaking these barriers. When discussing Muslim women's clothing in the Middle East, it's impossible to ignore the cultural and religious significance it carries. The hijab, for instance, is far more than just a piece of fabric. It's an expression of modesty, faith, and identity. But it's a mistake to think all women wear the same garments. While some choose the hijab, others wear the abaya, niqab, or burqa, depending on the region and local traditions. Even so, the regulations surrounding attire often spark heated debates. In some countries like Iran or Saudi Arabia, strict laws mandate how women must dress, with severe penalties for non-compliance. On the other hand, in countries like the United Arab Emirates, there is a greater balance between tradition and individual freedom, fostering more harmonious coexistence between cultures. Think of women like Halima Aden, the first model to walk the runway wearing a hijab, who redefined beauty standards and opened new doors for Muslim women in the fashion world. Marriage, for many Muslim women in the Middle East, is a rite of passage filled with significance. However, in some communities, it can also be a burden imposed by cultural and family norms. Arranged or forced marriages are still a reality in various regions, especially where tradition outweighs individual desires. Imagine a young girl, just 16 years old, being forced to marry a much older man to strengthen family ties or resolve economic issues. This practice, although condemned by many human rights organizations, continues to cast a shadow over the lives of countless women. The restrictions go beyond marriage. In some countries, women's freedom of movement or professional choice is limited by deeply entrenched social norms. Many must seek the approval of a male guardian to travel, study, or even work. Feminist movements and activists are paving the way for significant changes. An inspiring example is Saudi women gaining the right to drive in 2018, a milestone that symbolizes the start of a new era. When it comes to beauty in the Middle East, the first image that comes to mind is eyes highlighted with kohl and intricate henna designs on hands. These practices, far from being merely aesthetic, hold deep cultural meanings for Muslim women. The use of argan oil, for instance, is a care ritual passed down through generations, not only to hydrate skin and hair, but also as a symbol of connection to nature. These rituals don't just enhance beauty, they strengthen community bonds and deepen the sense of belonging. Even the use of perfume is treated with reverence, seen as a way to elevate the spirit and create a sense of well-being. But of course, it's not all perfect. Access to beauty products and treatments can be limited in some regions due to social norms or economic constraints. Still, many women find creative ways to keep these practices alive. adapting traditions to fit their realities. And while this connection to self-care is fascinating, there's another equally striking aspect: the relationship between Muslim women and contraceptive methods. Access to contraceptive methods in the Middle East is a sensitive issue, surrounded by cultural taboos and religious influences. In some areas, cultural norms make open discussions on the topic difficult, limiting access to reliable information. Imagine living in a place where even the word contraceptive is a taboo subject. That's still the reality for many women. Despite these barriers, significant progress has been made in some countries. Local and international organizations have been working to educate communities on the importance of family planning, respecting the boundaries set by religion and culture. For instance, in countries like Egypt and Jordan, community programs discreetly provide information and access to methods. However, these advances are uneven, and many women still rely on traditional practices or face societal pressure to have children at an early age, reinforcing the cycle of inequality. And if the challenges in healthcare are numerous, it's equally fascinating how the concept of purity, both spiritual and physical, shapes the lives of these women. Purity, both spiritual and physical, is a central concept in the lives of Muslim women in the Middle East. Practices like wudu, the ablution before prayers, and ghusl, the ritual bath, are more than just religious rituals. They symbolize a deep connection to faith and self-care. For many, these moments are opportunities to refresh their minds and spirits, preparing for the day or for significant life moments. It's as if every drop of water washes away not just physical impurities, but also the worries of the soul. These rituals also offer practical lessons that can inspire anyone, regardless of faith. The act of washing with intention, for example, is similar to modern mindfulness practices, where the focus is on the present moment. Still, balancing these traditions with the demands of contemporary life can be challenging. Women who work, study, or live in non-Muslim environments often struggle to maintain these practices in their daily routines. Despite this, many find creative ways to preserve these rituals, adapting them to the context in which they live. And of course, these adaptations and acts of resilience lead us back to the broader question of how these women live, resist, and transform their realities in the Middle East. Now that you've learned a little more about the fascinating and often misunderstood world of Muslim women in the Middle East, the question is, what will you do with this knowledge? Will you keep believing in easy stereotypes, or will you start looking beyond the surface? Because the truth is, the lives of these women aren't just full of challenges. They're full of strength, beauty, and an enviable resilience. So here's an invitation. Keep exploring, learning, and questioning everything. And since you've made it this far, don't forget to subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications. There's so much more to discover, and together we can change perspectives, and maybe even the world. What do you think?